Mold is everywhere. How do you know if this is a problem that you need to address? And it can be really scary and really overwhelming. So I'm going to lead you through a few steps today so that you can learn how to take action on your own health and experience more vitality and more health confidence. Everywhere. How do you know if this is a problem that you need to address? And it can be really scary and really overwhelming. So I'm going to lead you through a few steps today so that you can learn how to take action on your own health and experience more vitality and more health confidence. So today we're going to talk about this mold, and I have to say that I feel like a lot of physicians and people really underestimate and underappreciate how mold may be affecting your health. It definitely can lead to fatigue. It can lead to brain fog. It can lead to it can heighten your immune reaction and lead you into sort of an autoimmune type of situation. It can lead to headaches, sinus problems. It can make you feel achy and tired. It can give you sharp pains anywhere in your body, especially in your head. And it really plays into chronic illness and it can aggravate anything that you already have going on with you. We are going to be talking about how it is that you can tell, especially if you have mold in your home. Because often it is in our living environments or our car or your place of work. And what do you do about it? I know that this is an endemic problem and a lot of you are really struggling with this. So the first thing you want to do is really the number one step that you need to take is you want to follow the 5 steps of the P2V system, the Path to Vitality system. So Path to Vitality is a system that I set up that I use in my clinic and in my programs that really helps you stay on track so you know where you are in your process of healing. So the very first step is what I call Decode. It's really an assessment. You need to take a good assessment of where you are in your health. And if you're looking at your home or your car, how do you assess your home or your car to see what its health is, right? Because the places that we live have a certain vitality too. So we need to support that. The second was we calibrate. We do some testing and we get some feedback and we see what works and what doesn't work. The third phase is you have your personal power toolkit. You can power up with this personal kit. So that's where we have the plan. What's the plan that you're going to use so that you can remediate your space so that it can start supporting your health and your vitality? And then you can do a deeper dive into that, and then you can recode and experience living in a whole new way. Step number 1 to figure out if you have mold issues in your house is to do what we need to do for every good doctor-patient relationship. Everything you do is you got to take a good history. So step number 1 is history. This history can be done by you or it can be done by a professional. I highly recommend if you have a trusted professional that you can hire to come into your home to do an assessment, do that. Do that. Don't have the false economy of thinking I'm going to save my money and not get professional help when you can. I highly recommend somebody here in Portland, Oregon. He's actually based in Seattle, but he comes down into Portland. So if you're hearing me from the Pacific Northwest, reach out to Kester Clear. I don't have any affiliation with him. It's just who I use. He does a great job. You want to take a history of the house. Has there ever been a dishwasher that flooded? Have you ever had kind of bumpy walls, where, the stuff is bubbling and you're wondering, why is there moisture damage there? Do you open the cupboards under your sink and smell a funky smell? Do you see black stains anywhere on your walls in your basement, under your sinks? What is the health history of that house? Again, it's really great to get a specialist in there because they're so good at doing a full history and diagnostic assessment of your house to see if there's damage. I do recommend getting somebody who's not also the person that's going to do the remediation, just in case there's a conflict of interest there. So get somebody who just does assessment and then get somebody else who just does remediation for your home. That's the smartest thing. Now, you also, of course, want to do a history of the people living in the space because that's going to help you. If there's one person in a family who is ill, and everybody else is fine, it doesn't mean that the space is clean. It also doesn't mean that the space is dirty. But what I can tell you is that you have multiple people in a family who are experiencing increased allergies, frequent illness, mood disorders, unsuspected weight gain, headaches, irritability, on skin issues, rashes, those kinds of things. Breathing problems are so common, shortness of breath, coughs. If you're having an increased amount of those in the family, super high, it increases the chance that there's something going on with the space that you all share. If this is the case, I would really up your priority in terms of getting your house tested to be sure that there isn't mold or mycotoxins in there. So let's talk about how is it that you do step number 2. So first, step number 1 is a really thorough history of your home and of your health. Step number 2 is doing some kind of testing. There are lots of ways out there to do testing. And before I jump into that, I need to explain one very important concept that a lot of people don't understand and they get wrong, okay? So there's 2 things that you can test for when you're testing for mold in your house. One is you can test for mold spores. And 2, you can test for mycotoxins. Now, what are mycotoxins? Mycotoxins are, as they sound, toxic. They are toxic byproducts of mold. They're kind of weird. They're not really alive, but they're not really dead. They have a huge impact on your health. And this is what can really lead to dangerous things like cancer and severe illness. There are certain toxins that are so toxic that they can cause problems in everyone. And you don't want those in your home. Mycotoxins can exist, I should say, on a space even after it's dry. So you may have had water incursion in your home 10 years ago. You may have had mold in your basement spare bedroom, and that may have dried up, be gone. You may not see any mold there, but you can still have the byproducts of that mold, the mycotoxins there in the carpet, on the walls, in your stuff, and that can be affecting your health. You can breathe it in, and it can go into your sinuses and start to colonize and create biofilms and wreak all kinds of havoc in your brain and with your health and with your immune system. It can be in your gut and create biofilms and become hospitable and hang out in there. It can cause a lot of problems in your health. And the thing is that these can accrue over time. So myself, growing up and living in the Pacific Northwest my whole life, I've lived in moldy houses. In college, I lived in moldy apartments. I've had moldy cars. I've had moldy offices. It starts to add up in your body, and your body begins to just accumulate all of these mycotoxins and increases its level of sensitivity to things. So you want to make sure that you really do a very good history and understand that this could have taken place a long time ago in your house. And honestly, it could have taken place a long time ago in your body. So testing, you can test for mycotoxins, you can test for the presence of mold spores, or you can test for the presence of DNA, which meant that it's the DNA remnants of any mold that's been there forever.